No, it does not. Does not, sweetheart. The astringent, your body will naturally move just by the involuntary muscle movement of the body, but having it more cationic, more interactive with base chemistry is better, because it does become a lot more anionic or solidified and stagnant when the kidneys are not filtering. Acids back up too much and create more of an acidosis. When the lymph nodes back up and can't break these acids down enough, then on the other side, extreme acidosis. Remember, 3 pH before the lymph nodes, after the lymph nodes, hopefully closer to 6. You know, at least by the time you hit the kidneys, you want to be in the 6s, in my opinion. Not in the 5s. You want to be in the 6s. So good bacteria and the action in the body will do that. And that's still acidic. 6 is still acidic. You wouldn't even want to dump 6 in the blood. Even 6 in the blood could bring the pH of the blood down. So you really wouldn't want to do that, in my opinion. You could, if you ate a lot of raw foods all the time. It might, being 80% base, might, but when you're looking at the systemic dumping from 100 trillion cells, I think it would be very overwhelming to the blood, and people would be dying in a very few minutes. And you can't convert uric acid and all these into base chemistry. It's impossible to do it in any type of manner. So spend some time at rest. Cintron, can you talk about being a sovereign citizen? Yes, I talked about that yesterday. I'll do a video on that. Someone asked me to talk about Eckankar too, and I would love to. Don't want to bore anybody, but I love the Eckmasters. They're incredible beings. I didn't know what a true master was until I got into the Eckmasters, and I followed them all for a while. I followed Kirpal Singh. I followed all of them for a while. I at that in the day. I listened and read and studied each one of their ideas, consciousness, where they were, what part of creation they viewed. I was trying to understand the different worlds of creation and where different spiritual people were coming from in their awareness. And so I found the Eckmasters by far to have dug deeper into the heavens and to have discovered these deeper worlds of the Supreme Being. So, you know, Twitchell was an incredible being. Twitchell had like 4 to 7 books going all, like me, I've got at least 4 books I'm writing at the same time, and they're all in different spots. Now that I'm doing these YouTubes, it freed me from that, because I just, you know, I can sit down and just start writing, but then you have to understand when you write a book, it's going back and forth here. It's been back and forth. My book on the market now went back and forth between Kathy and Jennifer probably 10 times. And so it just back and forth until you home it. I'm one of those guys that like to say, 1 sentence, cut the fat, let's get to the point. Well, the editor doesn't like that. They want you to tell a story. They want you to be more expansive, which I can see that. So I've had to learn how to be more expansive instead of just cut to the chase, because I'm a no-sense kind of guy here. This is the bottom line. What's going on here? You know, why are we wasting time, you know, with words? So that's why I like this YouTube channel. Then I can rattle on. So I'll do one on Eckankar, because I really, I spent almost 30 years in it. And until this Harold Klimt. Time?
Well, we got a half hour from...
Oh, we got a half hour?
Well, no. It's Nancy Dawn coming in for half an hour.
When?
Do you want to call in at 11:30 to 12?
Yeah, I do.
11:30 to 12 for me.
11:30 to 12. That way I can sit here and catch up on
What
the...
about Joy? Can we give her half hour this morning or no?
Joy?
You know her.
The one up?
No? Another day?
Yeah, I'll cut off early to talk with her.
Well, there's going to be 11 to 11:30 to 12.
Well, you know, tell
You
Joy
got
to
2
call in.
hours.
I don't have much to talk. I just talked with her. I know she's hurting. I'll tell Joy 15 after 11, and then... sorry
No,
about that.
it's Nancy that really wants it. Nancy wants the half hour.
Well, I'll give Nancy the half hour, and then 15
11:30?
minutes before that give...
11:30?
Yeah. And then, what's her name, about 15 after 11 to 11:30.
She'll want a half hour, and that'll put Nancy off the bat.
Well, I just talked with her.
I know, but that's...
I know, she's hurting.
No, okay.
Is that Tina? I know some of you are hurting really bad. There are some of you younger ladies that made some bad choices with chemo and radiation, and now you're really hurting from it. You've got to hang in, and you've got to keep detoxifying your body. I don't know what to tell you. It pulls on my heartstrings a lot to see so many suffering young people. But chemo is not candy, and when you see them just dishing it out like candy, using chemo for psoriasis, using chemo for all these things, these guys are out of control, totally out of control. And we don't have a judicial system that'll support the truth. So I don't know what to say about it, other than be the light you are, be the beauty that you are, and keep helping, keep working with people to be awakened. And you all have to work through your pains, as I have to work through mine. But you have to use the anti-pain food, fruits, berries, and melons. Now, it's true that some of the acid fruits you might stay away from. If you're in that much pain, you might have to stay away from acid fruits. That's the lemons, the grapes. I mean the grapefruits, the oranges. If you got good organic oranges, though, they won't have any acid to them. But the pineapples and stuff like that, the cruciferouses, you have to stay away from them. The nightshades, that's potatoes, eggplants, tomatoes, you have to stay away from them. Sometimes when you're in excessive pain, you have to stay away from the foods that can exacerbate that pain. So subacid to sweet fruits, melons, probably stay away from all berries except maybe blueberries. And then some people, I have all levels, and that's why I said that detoxification is an art, because some people can't handle raw vegetables. You have to give them some cooked. And now we're entered in the wintertime where it's really cold. Now you all are finding out the conflict between high alkaline weather and eating a high alkaline diet simultaneously. It's the balance that God has. When you're hot, you want to be cool. When you're cold, you want to be warm. So you have to use the teas and things. So we've got some time together. I hope you don't get bored with this, but we have some time together to go on and cover some of these things. Anytime you can get Paul Twitchell's books, I highly recommend it. I talked to an Ekis. They call people that are in Eckankar Ekis. I talked to an Ekis the other day, and they're still following Eckankar. When Harold Klemp, which is the latest person that claiming to be an Eckmaster, took over, things really went downhill, in my opinion. Again, some of us have been with Eckankar for a lot of years, and we were the priests in Eckankar at the time, and we were being beat up by Harold Klemp, which is the current supposedly Eckmaster. And I never saw Harold been able to maintain the higher worlds from the soul plane on. Very few beings can maintain that level of consciousness from Sat Nam, which is the soul plane, which is the first time you're totally out of creation, and there's absolutely no duality. That is a very high level of consciousness, and very few masters or individuals can maintain those levels of awareness, particularly and keep the human body. There are certain levels that go on beyond that if you get too far, you just can't maintain a human body. It's impossible, because there's nothing here that would even, it's just too much of an ecstasy, a joy, a bliss that this world would hold nothing, and hard to pull yourself and keep yourself here. Had that experience. So it's hard to always teach people to operate from themselves, from consciousness, not from thought. There's a ton of teachings out there that are more metaphysical thinking. So when Eckankar was a way of life, which is the only way you can describe beingness, because there's no words in the human language that can describe the art of living in the present moment except a way of life, And then Harold called it the religion of light and sound. When you start calling things religions, then it starts isolating a teaching and making it more into a form. And Paul Twitchell and Darwin tried to keep it formless. And that's difficult, because humans always want to bring it down and isolate it. That's the mind. And that's the negative forces: isolate, separate. And so this has been a struggle with that. So great teaching, though. Anytime you can read Paul Twitchell or Darwin Gross, great teachings and stuff. The Eck Masters, there's a lot of them. I talked to you about Phoebe Quantz. Phoebe Quantz, incredible old master. I mean, he really whips your butt. I mean, he teaches you the old ways. So just some neat stuff out there. Rebbe Zartaris, there's a lot of beings out there. And there's just a lot of great teachings out there. I'm not downing any teaching, really. But everyone is at a different level. If you want to go to elementary school, you can go to that grade. If you want to go to college, you can go to freshman, or you can go up and become a senior. You can, this is all about levels of understanding and of awakening or awareness, and it's okay. You unfold, you grow, you use what you need in the moment, and then you set it aside, and always realize that everything's in flux and always moving in creation. There's always something new for you to learn and grow. If you get stuck in the same old thing, after a while it becomes boring, your life becomes boring, you become unhappy, because this is an adventure you're on. This isn't. This is a rock spinning through space in a world of concepts and ideas. Has no basis in reality at all. This thing is just a material sheath that comes and goes. That flows with the ebbs and tides of creation and of this planet. Steeped in acid and alkaline chemistry, steeped in electromagnetic energy, and restricted to the rules and laws of those two sciences. We're not restricted to any laws except the Supreme Being and the law of consciousness. 1-3, nice. Hey Robert, how are you? Doing good there. 1-3-1-3-2, nice. Got a question about herbs. How exactly do they work? What happens in the body? Do they work because of the magnetics or nutrients or what? I think it's a combination of all that. I really do. I think it's the consciousness of them. It's the constituents. I mean, if you start looking at what we're learning, years ago we didn't know a lot about the chemistry of plants. Now we have a lot of people tearing open. You can buy some of these herb books for like $400 or $500. Really, I got some nice herb books here that very expensive, very intellectual into chemistry. So we're finding these individual constituents in these plants, and now we're giving them different names. But these individual constituents that we had not known before have unique individual properties. That's what the pharmaceutical companies find. So they find these individual constituents that they think, whether it's an alkaloid or a flavonoid or whatever it is, they find these, mostly alkaloids, but they find these individual constituents that has the power to affect tissue in a certain way, and then they isolate that and then try to make a medicine out of that. Didn't realize that the plant needed put all that chemistry synergistically working together. The power's still there, but it is working synergistically, therefore it does not have a side effect to it.